All right, joined a new draft league. Just finished the draft today. Gonna go over my draft, why I picked what I did, and talk a little bit about my upcoming match. So I joined a draft called the Masters Draft League. I was a spectator for their first season, and they finished their first season, which is a pretty big plus because the last two draft leagues I was in did not finish their first season. So the fact that they've already finished one is pretty promising. I was put third in the order of draft. The first two were seeded based on the results from last season, and then I got the lucky draw to pick third. So my first pick was Excadrill. Now, Excadrill has a lot of really cool things going for it. First of all, it's bulky as hell. I've experimented with a lot of different sets, and a Spadef set is actually quite good. It lives 2 heat waves from a defensive Zapdos, which is fucking crazy. I don't plan to run Spadef Drill much, but it's just sort of an example of some of the stuff you can pull off. I'm mostly going to be using it for its offensive capabilities, of which it's pretty insane. Access to Swords Dance, access to some incredible moves, Earthquake being a crazy stab, Iron Head being incredibly powerful, and stuff like Rock Slide and other assorted moves give it pretty unparalleled level of offensive pressure on opposing teams. So this, like I said, this is my first pick, and my second pick was, as you can see on the screen there, Azumarill. I was looking at my Tier 1 picks as being there to pick the most broken sweepers I could. Now, Azumarill is the first of two Z users that I'm allowed. That gives me a lot of options for stuff that I can do offensively with the huge power, but also options that I have for the Sap Sipper set. Perish Trapping, stuff like that. Azumarill is an incredibly versatile Pokemon, not only with fantastic offensive capabilities, but it's pretty bulky too. You're gonna see, I have a pretty bulky setup with the stuff that I've picked, almost to the point of being a flaw, I think. But, Choice Banded Azumarill hits like 650 something attack. It's ridiculous, and I love using it. Water Fairy is a great typing, defensively and offensively. My third pick is not only the most broken sweeper in the unbanned metagame, but it's, again, an incredibly versatile pick. I got Reuniclus, 3 fantastic abilities. Magic Guard, keeping it from taking any damage from outside sources, such as poison, such as burn, such as Leech Seed. I've never been cursed by a ghost type as Reuniclus, but I'd imagine it does the same thing. Overcoat gives me a strong option if I'm up against any teams that have a Mungus, or any kind of Mon that has a heavy reliance on powder-based moves or weather, such as hail or sand. And then Regenerator just gives me a strong pivoting option to combine, again, with its pretty great bulk. My offensive core of these 3 Mons is really incredibly bulky, and I'll be able to use that to my advantage. So Regenerator allows me to bring in and out as I please. Downside is sacrificing Magic Guard means that I can be worn down by status effects and by heavy hazard setup. So I'll need to manage that properly. My fourth pick, bringing back your boy from the first, what was the Minor Battle League that I was using, and I made great use of them, and I loved using them. I was looking at my team, and I was thinking, things that I'm going to need. I'm going to need a... Ooh, that doesn't look good. The blue from my keyboard. Let me turn that off. Alright, I'm going to need a bulky grass type. I'm going to need a strong electric type user. And I'm going to need a ground immunity. And I was able to, luckily, just, cover all 3 of those bases in one go. As Rotom, I think, is very strong, even compared to Rotom Mo, which is the typically much more popular and much more, or compared to Rotom Wash, which is the much more popular and much more widely used version, but I think that Electric and Grass is still a very strong typing. You know, he has pretty good speed at 86, and then, you know, that bulk that he's famous for gives him a lot of options. You know, his Leaf Storm is very powerful, gives me a good half of a Volt Turn core, and, you know, defensively he can really hold his own. So, again, very versatile. I can use him for offense, I can use him for defense, and I plan to put him to really good use. Probably going to be my chief defogger, unless I'm feeling cheeky and put Spin on Drill. Next up is Enshou, and this was actually one of my last picks. Let me double check when exactly I want to say it was my second to last or my last pick. And there's a reason for that I'll explain here in a second. Draft chat. Scroll up with my loud ass scroll wheel. Alright. It was my third to last pick. Now my reasoning for that was because after I picked Rotom, I wanted to hurry up and pick my fourth pick, or my fifth pick being Giggle Lifts, which I'll get to in a second, but it was something that I didn't want to get sniped before I could really get back around to it, because it meant that I would be going all the way down the list of 16 people and all the way back up to me at third. So I skipped my third tier 2 pick and moved on down the list, and it gave me the ability to look back at my draft at the end of it and say, what am I missing, and how am I going to make up for that? So, at the end of the draft, I looked at what I had, and I said, I don't really have any speed, and I'm lacking a strong fighting type, which is an important breaker. So, I was originally going to pick Heracross, regular Heracross, because that's just a mon I like. It has incredible coverage, it has a great typing, has pretty good bulk. But I decided to instead go for Enshou, which both gives me a second half of a Volt Turn core in a strong, fast U-turn, but it also gives me the option to have a second Regenerator Pokemon, so I can keep swapping in and out to, you know, kind of exploit that ability. You know, other than that, it's got some strong moves in the form of High Jump Kick. It has, you know, your typical fighting type stuff. You got Knockoff, you got Stone Edge, you got Poison Jab if I'm, you know, kind of being able to mix and match whatever I feel necessary to be able to match up against the enemy team. So next up we got Giggle Lift, which plays a very important role in this team as being a sand setter. And that's it. But, you know, I picked him because I didn't really want to go for Tyranitar, because after picking Excadrill, I didn't want to, you know, kind of overload myself with that. I think, I don't know, Tyranitar is a objectively better choice, but I didn't really want to use it, and I'm willing to say that I gimped myself just a little bit. But I'm not going to be running a particularly offensive Giggle Lift. A lot of time it's going to be pretty bulky, as you would expect. You know, get up some rocks, throw out some damage, and have some fun with your sand. But, you know, he actually gets really bulky. With the 50% increase that rock types get from the sand, he can take a lot of hits. And I'm going to need him to take a lot of hits because, fucking hell, dude. That's okay. You can look at that 130 defense and the 85 HP and whatever 80 Spadef comes out to, and he'll be sticking around. Next we have Umbreon, and Umbreon's really a very boring Pokemon, especially in draft leagues, because, you know, there isn't really... All Umbreons have Wish, Protect, Toxic, and then Foul Play. So I'm going to be trying to run some other sets. I have some ideas, you know. I'm so tired. I worked 14 hours today, 14.4 hours. And I'm just ready to go to bed, but I wanted to get this out of the way. So Umbreon is a fat fucker, and Umbreon takes hits, and Umbreon can heal Bell, and, you know, that's just kind of the way it goes. So I have some ideas in store. Hopefully it'll be some stuff that's pretty fun to watch, and, you know, we'll see how that goes. Next we have Hoopa. We have that Omari P Heat, and if you look at these stats, people just kind of look at the typing, and they look at the defense stat, and, you know, you kind of got to play around with your pursuit users a bit smartly. But outside of that, Hoopa's got some great stats going for it. The 150 special attack and the 110 attack is still pretty good too. So maybe you could see me running some offensive, some physical sets with that. That'd be pretty cool. Majority of it's probably just going to be nasty plot sweeper type stuff, maybe some specs. But it's just the kind of thing that's going to get tailored to whatever my opponent is bringing. Next up, we have Mega Camerupt. Here, there you go. Come on. Perfect. I picked Mega Camerupt because it's very strong. It has a really good offensive typing. It has an okay defensive typing, but it has some pretty great stats as long as you can get around the speed. I have the potential to be able to make a Trick Room team if I'm feeling cheeky, but it remains to be seen if I actually want to commit to that or not. Maybe we'll see farther down the line, but Camerupt was the Mega I chose because I didn't really want to choose a high-powered Mega because it just seemed like a waste when I could be getting some broken-ass sweeper when there's plenty of very powerful Megas down the line. And as far as just spread out goes, I liked a lot of the options that were available. So to go with an option I didn't like, I picked Garbodor because I needed Toxic Spikes. I needed them really badly. It could become important for Reuniclus. It could become important for Umbreon, especially Hoopa. Very important to wear down those dark types. And I don't know. I'm not 100% sure about this one. It has the availability of having spikes as well, which is good. But I wanted to use... After I picked it, I realized I should have gone back and picked Weezing instead. But, I just like Weezing's bulk a lot better. I like the ability Levitate. But Garbodor gives me spikes, and it has a little higher HP, a little bit of special defense, and that gives me the ability to, possibly take some different hits and come back in later. We'll kind of just have to see where that puts us, because I'm not super experienced using Garbodor, but, I think that it'll probably be fine. Finally, we have Golbat, again, coming back from the Minor Battle League. This is another fat fucker. I was doing some calcs. It lives a Zen Headbutt from Metacham at like 30%, which is pretty good. Mega Mawile doesn't do more than 30% to it with any of its common attacks. I haven't calculated Ice Fang yet, but I can't imagine it does a fuck ton. And, he has good usage of Infiltrator. Gives me a lot of options for being able to toxic through subs, being able to hit through subs with an attack like Brave Bird. He has Heat Wave, which is great. And yeah, it gives me another option for a Defogger. I expected to put on a whole lot of work this time. So, God, I don't know what's up with my throat, but it's a concern. That's kind of it for this draft review. I haven't really looked too much into my my first week's fucking opponent, but I will be putting that video up when I get it done in the next week, and we'll be doing the usual stuff, hopefully getting back into this, and hopefully being in a league that is able to stick around for the entirety of it. We have 16 players, which is a little daunting, because that means that this league is going to be going on for around 3 months. But even though I had some qualms about the process in this league and how some things were done, such as the pacing of the actual drafting itself, I do have faith in the people running it that this can go successfully. So, you'll probably see that pretty soon, and I hope that people that watch my channel enjoy it or whatever.